What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Yes, have we recovered from that? Man, oh man, that was something else, wasn't it? That was certainly something that was tough to watch at times. It was tough to watch. It was difficult to watch. But look, you can see the scoreline right there. It's Wolves 0, Manchester United 1. And it was tough. It was very, very tough. I want to get into all you guys' opinion on the match today. This is what it is. It's the match reaction. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about tactics, big moments in the game. We're going to talk about things we should have done better. There's a lot of them. But ultimately, what we do have to talk about is that Manchester United do get out of there somehow with 3 points. Look, overall, and we will get into the nitty-gritty. That's what we like to do on the match reaction. We'll talk about broad strokes first, then we'll talk about nitty-gritty moments of the game, tactics, where to improve it, where did it go right? We won. That was it. Where did it go wrong? Look, there was lots and lots and lots today that just frankly wasn't good. Really, really wasn't good. We didn't deserve it. Does it matter? Today, no. Today, it doesn't matter. That's the honest opinion here, is that does it matter? No, it doesn't matter today. But if we play like that, 9 times out of 10 we will lose, especially in the Premier League. Especially in the Premier League against a side that, Wolves are a good side, but ultimately now they've lost their first 3 games. Obviously, they've got an issue with scoring goals. I think if we play like that, especially the way we played in the first half, second half was slightly better. But when I say slightly better, that's like rewarding someone for not crapping their pants. It's like it's not much of an achievement, to be honest with you, because the standard was that low. So if we play like we did, especially in the first half, against a better quality side, or just a guy that's going to score, just a side that's going to score goals, we would be 2 or 3 nil down with that performance in the first half. But today, look, it doesn't matter. We needed a win. We got the win. So that's the positive there. Today, obviously, there was a real lack of quality, and I think that's the thing that I really noticed the most today. If you watch the match view of KG, I spoke half-time and said the thing that really stood out today, and it's kind of what stood out against Southampton, that there was just this real lack of quality, which is so, it's like an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense because that team we put out today, maybe swapping, out of Dan James or whatever. I don't want to slander his name, but taking out of Dan James, that's one of the strongest starting lineups we've put out in a really long time. And it's not even our strongest possible starting lineup, considering we've got Rashford to come back. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously, to come in. And I think Cavani probably would start as well. It's just bizarre, that real lack of quality in the first half. Let's check out the free seats and we'll talk about the game more. Mick Hind says, we were rubbish. Den of Don says, Ollie is tactically inept. Why is Bruno so up the pitch? Why not in the central half spaces? Ollie made him. Joe Isaac saying Ollie and his coaches have to ship out as soon as possible. So a lot of people are saying that today's poor performance was on Ollie. Ultimately, I suppose, as the manager, right? As the manager of the team, you do have to shelve the burden of the performance not being up to par. Ollie's a lucky manager. I think we've said this quite a few times. Ollie's a lucky manager in the sense that, look, today was his 100th Premier League game. Out of managers that have made it to 100 league games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has actually won the most in that first opening games. He's a lucky manager. He wins. He somehow finds ways to win matches that maybe we weren't playing the best. Do I think he set up the team well today? Well, logic would say in that first half performance, he didn't. That first half selection, whilst it looked great on paper, that first half performance was just abysmal. It absolutely was abysmal. Real lack of quality. I mean, at points it was comedic. At points it was laughable. We couldn't even put 2 passes together at certain points. That was what was really embarrassing. You had world-class players like Paul Pogba, couldn't even string 2 passes together. It was embarrassing. If it was another side, we'd be all over them. All over them on social media going, look at how terrible they are. Look how terrible they are. That's how bad we were in the first half today. And once again, like last week, Mason Greenwood, the teenager, bails us out once again. He was, I probably would give man of the match to De Gea because we'll talk about that save. But David De Gea, that second save is world class. Absolutely world class. That's the De Gea we want to see. That's... I don't want to turn this into a De Gea versus Henderson debate, but I don't think Dean Henderson makes that save. That is a save that a world-class goalkeeper makes, and I think that's a save that David De Gea makes. And the reason he made it today is because he's still at his peak is world-class. Does he make mistakes? Absolutely. But he also makes saves like that. That was world-class. And that save today is just as much of a reason as to why we won the game as Mason Greenwood's goal. That was just that important. It really was. Super chat from Salted Caramel says, everybody knows Fred, Pogba doesn't work. How Fred is playing every week. Why has Ollie not figured it out yet? Well, Salted Caramel, don't you worry. We're going to get into Fred. I've got some opinions on Fred. I really do have some opinions on Fred because he was horrific. I mean, honestly, he was horrific today. Absolutely horrendous. But going back to the positives, Mason Greenwood, I think, was arguably our best player. David De Gea would get my man of the match just because the save is just world class. Fred was awful. Absolutely awful. At this point, when it comes to Fred, honestly, guys, at this point, when it comes to Fred, what does he offer? And I know that KG made a promise of, I'm not going to go in on players, but I'm going to go in on players. If you don't play well, you deserve criticism. If you play well, you deserve praise. Look, you just deserve anything that the performance warrants. Fred today, objectively, was horrendous. I said last week that Fred had the passing ability or the technical ability of a comatose badger. That badger is dead at this point because that was awful today. Absolutely shambolic. Absolutely shambolic from Fred. Usually, the justification of having Fred in the side is that he is the one that, maybe he's not good on the ball. Maybe he's not good at passing, but he provides energy. He breaks up the play, gets stuck in, makes tackles, tackles the player, gives the ball an easy pass, and then we can go on counter. He wasn't even doing that today. I get Ahmed Traore bullies people. I said as well, he's like John Cena in a Wolves shirt. I get it. He's a big guy. He's like a rugby player that's playing football. He's this jacked up guy with baby oil in his arms that's pinging people off like they're flies on him. I understand that. But be a bit smarter. Where's your intelligence? Where's your intelligence of going, right, I know I'm not going to be able to beat this guy in terms of physicality and strength. I know he's quicker than me, but if I think about this, if I set myself up right, I can still win the ball off him because I fought 2 steps ahead. Everything was so reactionary when it came to Traore today. And they're just looking around going, he's so fast and he's so strong. And again, if Ahmed Traore, if he had, I'm so fired up. If he had actual end product and quality, we would have been in a lot of trouble today. But he doesn't. He doesn't. So we got away with it, and that just sums up Manchester United's performance. We got away with it, and there was just a sheer lack of quality. I think, first half, Fred and Pogba were, again, terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think Pogba, in fairness to him, credit him, I think he did improve second half, Pogba. I think his passes actually started to connect. But again, we're talking like different levels because, yes, Pogba did improve second half, but he improved second half just because he started to pass to people because he wasn't even doing that first half. But he did improve second half. Dan James, I've got a bit of a theory on Dan James here, and this might seem a bit of a reckless statement. This might be a bit of a KG statement to make. But to be honest with you, this could be Dan James's last game for us today. Maybe this season, maybe he'll go out on loan, but maybe it'll be a transfer because I was really surprised to see Dan James start. The reason I was really surprised to see Dan James start today is because last night it was reported by several outlets that Manchester United had started to offer out Dan James due to the arrival of your Cristiano Ronaldo's and Dan James going further and further down the pecking order because Martial isn't going to play up front anymore, so he'll have to go out wide to either the right or the left, which means Dan James is less likely to play. So when I saw him in the starting 11 today, I was like, what? Why? And I think the reason I say it's probably his last game, because if those reports are accurate, that he's being offered out, he did himself no favours. He gave Ollie and the board and whoever's in charge of transfers, Matt Judge, all those kind of guys, he gave them no reason to say, whoa, we need to keep Dan James for the rest of the season because we know what he's capable of. We know his levels. I don't necessarily blame him that much. I just think at this point it can be easily decided and easily stated that Dan James doesn't have the quality to play for Manchester United. He doesn't have the end product. He's fast. He's got work rate, but I think we found his level and it's not at Manchester United. Irrespective of that, as the game wound on and it went on and it went on and we weren't playing well, my only thought process was, and I think it was probably the same with Solskjaer, and I think it would have been the same with all of you, one, is we're playing terrible, but two, it would have been we need a win. We needed a win. We dropped points last week, and that's what it is. I don't care when people go, it's the second game of the season, it's the third game of the season. If you don't win, you drop points. It's not hard to say that, especially when you've got other teams that might be winning games, or especially now when you had the start of the season like we've had in the Premier League, where other big sides have dropped points. Liverpool and Chelsea dropped points yesterday. Man City dropped points at the beginning of the season. And when that happens, you go, right, we've got a good opportunity to get some points on the board and actually start getting ahead of teams. That's why I was so disappointed last week when it came to dropping the points against Southampton, because I said, we have a good run of games. We have a really good run of games. Realistically, we should come out of this game and be like, that was 9 points. We didn't play well in the last 2 games, but that's 9 points. Last week's drop points still bother me. But once again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer somehow managed to get the victory today. We needed a win and he got it. But we must play better though, because we can't play that like that and win games. And it's not a case of we won't. If we play like that, we'll lose games. We absolutely will lose games. You know, that's just that they are the facts. If we were playing, again, this is a Wolves side that's lost their first 3 games, and obviously they have an issue of scoring goals. If we were playing, you know, your Liverpools, your Cities, your Chelseas, even your Tottenhams today, definitely not Arsenal's. We would have beat Arsenal 5-0 playing like that today. But you know, a quality side, we would have lost. We absolutely would have lost today. We got away with it. We know we got away with it. And we have to play better, because Mason Greenwood bailing us out isn't going to be enough every single week. He's one of the best teenagers in the world. I've said he's a generational talent several times at this point. He's world class. He's world class. And I guess there will be maybe some concern, because I was saying going into this season about Greenwood that I hoped he played more up front this season, and he played more games up front. Ironically, the goal today comes when he's actually back out wide right, because Cavani came on. And I do think Cavani did what Cavani does today, in the sense that he came on, maybe didn't get too much involved in terms of the game, in terms of chances, but he occupies defenders, and he makes defenders think, and he makes space. If everyone's focused in on him, there's going to be space for other people, like Mason Greenwood. And we did look a bit more threatening when Cavani came on, it must be said. But when it comes to Mason Greenwood, look, he's one of the best teenagers in the world right now. I do think we grew into the game. Second half, we were better. But again, it's not a high standard. It's still the case of we were still very poor. Very, very poor. And Ollie will know. I mean, obviously, I can't see what he's saying because I'm on stream right now. But Ollie will know. He got away with one today. Manchester United got away with one today. Against another team, a better team, we would have been 2 or 3-0 down by half-time, if not sooner. Much, much quicker, because we were just poor. We were very poor. Wolves have an issue scoring. That benefited us today. Now, the one positive I could give Ollie is that he made subs earlier today. He brought on Cavani after, it was really quick. It was like 52 minutes, if that. He brought Martial on. They came on for James and Sancho. I know some people were critical of maybe Jadon Sancho coming on for Anthony Martial. Look, I don't think Sancho had his best game today, and I know that might horrify people and offend some people, because they'll say, well, it's Ollie's fault, it's tactics, all that kind of stuff. Look, saying Sancho didn't play well, nobody played well. Apart from Mason Greenwood and David De Gea, nobody played well. So I think that is what it is. We'll check the live chat quickly here. A lot of people talking about Ollie. What are we saying here? David Lee says, I'm done with this manager. He's clueless. Kevin says we need a new coach. A lot of people saying Ollie out. You know, a lot of people are saying that Ollie wasn't good enough, and he set the team up wrong today. Look, the issue is with that thought process, and I'll be honest with you. Like, I still back the manager. I don't think the manager should be let go because we won a game. We didn't play well. Today, and that burden should be on the manager, and that burden should be in the setup. But the thing is with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I know this frustrates people. But what we might not play well, but we won today, and that will be justified. He will be justified. And we have Cristiano Ronaldo coming in. What does Cristiano Ronaldo think? By the way, Cristiano Ronaldo must have been watching that thinking, oh my goodness. What have I let myself in for here? But we won, and that's all that Solskjaer will care about, because in 2 or 3 weeks' time, and I know it's very easy right now to say, terrible performance, Ollie needs to go, these players need to go, these players were rubbish, different setup. There are things to learn from today, absolutely. There are things to learn in terms of Pogba and Fred as a two. I never want to see him again. I think I'm already having nightmares and haven't been to sleep yet. Nearly went to sleep during that game because it was boring at times because Man United was so bad. But Pogba and Fred as a two don't work. I think it's really hard watching United to figure out what is the game plan here. Like, realistic, what is the game plan? What is the tactical setup? And that does sit on Ollie. That does sit on him because you look at that and you would say, I have no idea what the game plan is. I have no idea what our tactics are. With Wolves today, even though they lost, you could easily see how they were set up, what their plans were in terms of tactically. They were playing on the break. They were looking, as soon as they got the ball, their keeper got the ball, defenders, it was bang, straight up front, trying to hit us on the break. Watching United, it was slow. Play out from the back, pass it around the back line a little bit, and the defenders looked really uncomfortable doing that. Pass it to a Pogba or a Fred, they give it away, then it comes back on us with a counter-attack, which is playing into Wolves' hand. Again, the quality got a little bit better second half, but you watch the game and you say, like, I have no idea what the setup is here. I have no idea what the tactics are, and that does sit on Ollie. But in 2 or 3 weeks' time, when you look at that on the fixture list, or you look at the table, all you will care about is the points. And that's all that boards care about, and ultimately that's all that fans will care about. Come the end of the season, if I don't know where we'll be. If we play like that, we might be in a bit of trouble. But come the end of the season, we won't remember that Wolves game. We'll just say I'll tell you what, that was a terrible game, but we won, and that's all we care about. And I think Ollie kind of knows that. We won the game. And we 3 points, and all we can hope is that we play better next time, but we'll take that result. And let's see what the live chat is saying once again. Noel's saying 3 years of this crap football, we need a new manager. 000 says, we won the game and people are complaining. I do think it's a good point. Liam says, to be fair, delighted with the win. Wouldn't have got that win a few seasons ago. I think that is a good point. I think that's a good point by Liam there, in the sense that, do we want to play really good football every game? Of course we do. Of course we do. Every team does. We want to play attractive, dominating football. I guess the positive today is that, again, that we didn't play well and we were bad, but we still won. And sometimes you can't play well every game. Sometimes you have to sneak out of games. Sometimes you do have to play badly and get through it. Under Sir Alex, it's a bit of a falsehood that we always played super, super attractive football under Sir Alex, because there were plenty of games when we played badly, but we snuck out, whether that's by going 1-0 down and winning 2-1, or whether that's just, nicking a 1-0 victory. Those are the kind of victories that get you places. Those are the kind of victories. I don't want to say that win you titles, because I don't think that's right. But those are the types of victories that maybe we weren't getting before. Maybe we would lose those games, or maybe we would draw them 0-0 and just say that was just awful, objectively bad, and all that kind of stuff. But we won. Keith Thomas says, Souness hating on us on Sky. Well, the sky's blue as well, and the sun will rise and sun will set. Those are the kind of things. The sun will rise, the sun will set, the sky is blue, grass is green, and Graham Souness hates Manchester United. He's just... I'm kind of done with him. I had a bit of a tolerance for him in the past when it came to Graham Souness. I had a little bit of a tolerance, I suppose, in the sense that you respect what he did in his career. Look, he was a very successful football player. Not so much as a manager, but certainly a successful football player. But at this point, he might as well just come out. They might as well just say, Graham, what did you think of the game today? He might just go, wow, David, I hate Manchester United. Move on. He might as well just say that, Graham Souness, at this point, because that's kind of his analysis. That's kind of his punditry now. It's just, I hate Manchester United. Move on. Let's talk about Liverpool or something like that. That's all he cares. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares. It's just ridiculous. So let's talk about that first half. We started the game, obviously, horrifically. I mean, it doesn't need to be said more than that. We started the game horrifically. Within the first, 2 minutes, they nearly scored. Fred, I don't know, honestly. Really, I don't know if... I'm trying to find the right words to put this, to say about Fred. I don't know if you could start a game worse than how Fred started today's game. Honestly, after 2 minutes, he gave the ball away. They nearly counter-attacked, nearly scored. De Gea makes the save. A couple of minutes later, we had a corner. Ball comes in, gets cleared, and they hit the ball up the pitch because, again, that's Wolves' game plan. Hit it up the pitch, rapid counter-attack. The ball gets hit up the pitch, and Fred, it's an easy interception. All he does is have to block it. It bounces off him like a bloody pinball, just goes boing, goes off. And then after the ball bounces off of him, He's trying to run back. He just gets shrugged off the ball, falls over, lands flat on his face. He's like Phil Jones trying to defend it. And they have a shot, I think it's that Trincao, who did play quite well for Wolves today. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka does, in fairness, we'll talk about a great save by David De Gea. The block by Aaron Wan-Bissaka was also excellent. That was also an excellent block. But I can see my notes here that I type up for the match reaction. So I want to make sure that I recall all of these events. And just in my notes, I can see myself, I just typed, Fred has been awful in capital letters, because he was. He started bad, and as I mentioned, it was almost hilariously bad. Like, it wasn't just having, sometimes if you've played football, you can play a game, or you can be warming up and your touch isn't there, and you play badly. You can just say, look, today, man, I'm having one. I don't know what it is, but I'm just absolutely having one. But it's far too consistent from Fred to be having one. He was just bad. He was absolutely bad. He made the Wolves players look excellent. He couldn't handle Traore at all. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was just bouncing off of him, and Fred could just get absolutely nowhere near him. I mentioned about tactics when it came to Ollie in terms of what was the game plan. It certainly looked like, especially because Traore was picking up the ball in central areas earlier on, it looked like that maybe Fred was meant to be, not man marking him, but every time Traore got the ball, it was meant to be, right, Fred, you deal with Traore, you deal with him. And he couldn't. He couldn't. He absolutely couldn't. He could get nowhere near him. If that was Fred's role today, was to manage Traore, it's a 0 out of 10. It's a 0 out of 10. And don't get me wrong, we get it. Traore's a big guy. As I mentioned, he's like a John Cena in a Wolves shirt. He might as well have said, you can't see me, to Fred, because he couldn't. He couldn't see him today. But he's not the best technical player in the world, is he? And we were making it easy for him, giving him so much space to run at us and trying to, why are you trying to shoulder barge him? Why are you trying to shrug him off the ball? Because that's going to happen, isn't it? He's got baby oil on his arms, for goodness sake. Of course you're just going to slide off him. It's silly. And giving him spaces to run, chances to run. He's bigger and faster than most people on the pitch. We know that. So why are you playing into his hands? So for the first 25 minutes, we just got battered. We got absolutely battered. We were awful. Absolutely awful. And I was thinking this, and I spoke about this to KG at halftime, and I would love to know what you guys think. Do you think the performance that we had today, do you think if we bring in a defensive midfielder, does that necessarily change that today? Does that change that performance? Does the defensive midfielder come in and just bang, suddenly we're great? Because my opinion is it doesn't. I think, obviously, we need a defensive midfielder. I think that it would certainly help. But I don't know if a defensive midfielder coming in today really solves that problem, because everyone was just bad. Everyone was just bad. Maybe you could argue that a high-quality defensive midfielder would be better at dealing with someone like a Traore. But the defensive midfielder kind of situation, I don't know. I really, really don't know if that would really solve our issues today. I would love to know what you guys think of that. Liam said Fred needs to buy Aaron Wan-Bissaka a pint for bailing him out today. A lot of people saying we need a new coach. Lux Hill says Neves showed us why we need to buy him today. I thought Neves played quite well. It's never a foul, by the way, for the goal, and we will get into that. It's never ever a foul. He can talk about what he wants, but whatever. Daniel says, Ollie is too stubborn. Pogba played too deep to create. Why did James start? 4 out of 10 for Ollie today. He's testing my patience at this stage. So close to Ollie out. Not yet, though. Still 3 points. Well, again, ultimately, we can talk about the performance not being great, but we did win. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's like saying we need to get a new coach because we won a game, because that's outrageous. People like Arsenal will be desperate for a coach that could actually win a game right now. So we do have to sort of realise where we are. To be honest with you, people talking about Donny van de Beek starting. Look, if Fred's role was in there to tackle today, because we know it's not in there to pass, so Donny van de Beek couldn't have done much worse. I know Donny van de Beek isn't hardly a tackler or a ball-winning midfielder, but he would have done a better job than Fred today. Absolutely a better job than Fred today. And for 25 minutes today, it was just not, well, for most of the game, it was just not working. And one of my big criticisms last week on the match reaction was that the passing was just so poor. There was just no quality. And I thought last week when I was watching the game against Southampton, I thought, well, the positive is that the quality of passing can't get much worse. Oh, I was wrong. It can get way worse. So much worse. And their counter-attack, obviously, by Wolves was dangerous. When you're playing against a team like a Traore, of course it's dangerous. But we just kept playing into it. We kept playing into it every single time. And what I mean by we were playing into it by, look, as soon as we gave the ball away, they were going to break. So what do? Make sure you keep hold of the ball. Make sure your passing is pinpoint and it's going straight to players. What do we do every single time? Straight to the opposition player. Try a long ball. Try a cross-field ball. Straight to someone else. And it was just so poor. It was so poor. And luckily, it did get a little bit better in the second half. I mean, towards the end of the first half, Greenwood did nearly score. And to be honest, it came out of nothing. It was a pass, couple of flick-ons by Bruno, and then Greenwood nearly scored. It was a difficult chance anyway. But it was kind of at that point where he nearly scored, and I went, we wouldn't have deserved that. We would have not have deserved that. So we get to the second half, and I think a lot of people are thinking, right, he's got to change something, Ollie. Right? He has to change something. He has to do something to change that. And he didn't at halftime, which I was shocked by. But I will credit him. Whilst I can't really credit the performance, well, I can't credit the performance, and I can't really credit the tactics today because I just didn't see any. I didn't see any tactics. He did take some initiative early on in the second half. 52 minutes, he goes, right, this isn't working. Dan James off, Cavani on. That was the right decision. It was Ollie taking initiative. Greenwood moves out to the right. Cavani in the middle. Cavani, as I mentioned, whilst he might not have done all that much today, to be honest with you, in terms of chances, his movement off the ball, his ability to find space, his ability to occupy centre-backs, his ability just to open the play up a bit is so overlooked, I think. And I think Cavani realises, look, how often is Cavani going to play up front now? Because Ronaldo's coming in. Ronaldo does the same thing as Cavani in the sense that he will occupy defenders. He will make defenders worried. He will open up the space for those people on the wings, on the flanks. But I think Cavani, without doing too much, I think he did do well. Now, we had another moment. Again, I have so many things in my notes where I go, Wolves should score. Trincao should score. He should score. Let's take a look at the live chat once again. Show United says we will finish 4th at best. Interesting. Wooming says Ronaldo will be screaming at Ollie within 5 games. Well, it'll be interesting when it comes to Ronaldo, won't it? Because there's no way Cristiano Ronaldo is going to playing a side, and a side that's playing that badly for the first 45 minutes or for the majority of the game, frankly. And there is no way he will sit there and be like, I am not putting up with this, guys. Like, where is the quality? Ronaldo will throw his toys out the chair, and he does it a lot, a lot, when teams aren't playing well. So he will absolutely tell his teammates exactly what he thinks of them when they're not playing well. No doubt about it. Now, in the second half, this is why I say I think we did grow into the game second half. There was a chance where Greenwood, he has to pass it to Cavani. Absolutely has to pass it to Cavani in the box. Pogba passed to Greenwood. He's kind of through on goal, but if he just squares it, Cavani scores and it's 1-0. He didn't. He had the sort of the greedy edge, which I never, it's easy to say, oh, you got to pass it. But in fairness, I do like it sometimes when players do that because, again, do you think Ronaldo's squaring it in that situation? Of course he isn't, because Cristiano, that's what he does. But one of the big turning points, arguably the biggest turning point in the game for me, is the David De Gea save. As I mentioned, we did start to grow into the game a bit. I think that Wolves did drop off. They were pressing us quite high early on in the game, and they wanted the counter-attack. They started to drop off in terms of energy levels second half. Fred versus Traore was just embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing, and that's where, again, this chance comes from. It comes into a Fred versus Traore just mess, absolute mess. They have a corner. First header from the corner, it's right at De Gea. It's one as a goalkeeper. If you just stand up, you save it. So I'm not going to say De Gea, oh, amazing first save, because it's reactions, it's right at him. That second save, where it's to his left, is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. That is, I know we've only 3 games in, but that is going to be up there for save of the season. That is pure reaction. That is pure reflex. Be honest with you, if I'm a Wolves fan and I'm a Wolves manager, I'm saying, how on earth has he not scored? If this was Manchester United and that happened from an offensive corner from our point of view, say that was Mason Greenwood, I would say Mason Greenwood has to score, because it's one of those situations where it is more of a miss than a save, in my opinion. But the save is world class, absolutely world class. It's, again, I mentioned it at the top of the stream here. I'm always hesitant to turn it into De Gea versus Henderson or anything like that. But I don't think Dean Henderson makes that save. I think a world-class goalkeeper makes that save, and I think that's the reason David De Gea made that save. Look, De Gea made a couple of good saves against Southampton as well. He started the season off relatively well. If you're Ollie now, I know Henderson's coming back, and I don't know if he's back training with the squad yet, but he has been training in the gym. I don't know if he's back with the squad fully yet, but he has been training. If you're Henderson, how'd you get into the side? One, it's a clean sheet. Somehow, someway, it was a clean sheet today. I have no idea how. But that save is world-class. Absolutely world-class. And like I said, I don't think Dean Henderson makes that save. I think David De Gea makes that save because that's his levels. That's what David De Gea brings to the side. He brings that level of quality. And I know there's been a lot of people over the course of the last few years criticising De Gea. I've criticised De Gea because I think some goals have gone in that shouldn't have gone in. And I think he does have a mistake in him. And I think sometimes he is too weak. But he's also capable of doing that. And that today won us the game just as much as Mason Greenwood's goal did. That's the critical point, because let's face it, if Wolves scored that goal, it could have ended up 2 or 3. I think we would have capitulated. So it's a world-class save. The first is fine. The second is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Now, that's when Solskjaer made the sub to bring on Martial for Sancho. And it's funny, actually, because, again, in my notes, the thing I typed just before Greenwood scored, I said that Greenwood has arguably been our best player again. Because he did have that element to him when he was going down the right-hand side, especially when Cavani came on second half, where he did look a bit threatening. Again, he should have squared it to Cavani, but he did look threatening. And he did look like if anyone was going to score today, it was going to be Mason Greenwood. And he managed to do it. And look, he was arguably the only player, along with David De Gea, that was playing well. There was a 50-50 between Paul Pogba and Ruben Neves. It's never a foul. And I'm not saying that as a biased Manchester United fan. I'm not saying that as someone that's like, oh, you would say that just because you support Man United and it's your team that scored. I'm saying that if that went the other way, if that was at the other end of the pitch and it was Ruben Neves and Paul Pogba and Pogba went down, I would say it's not a foul. The reason why I say it's not a foul is because Ruben Neves didn't go down for about 5 minutes. The ball, they go together. Yeah, there is a bit of contact, but it's a 50-50 challenge. If you're taking stuff like that out of football, and I know we have this conversation a lot, but if you're taking that sort of stuff out of football, then I just don't know. Then I don't know about football anymore. And I know the rules have changed, and I don't like the way the rules have changed when it comes to physicality. There are certain aspects of things that are red cards that when I was growing up, when I was playing football, was never a red card. And football is becoming a non-contact sport and it is becoming less physical. But the referees have said this season, we're going to let more go. We're going to allow a little bit more physicality, and you can't go back on your word. That is a 50-50 tackle. Is there a little bit of touching? Yes. It was never enough to make Neves go down. The only reason Neves decided to go down is because he had lost the ball. His reaction was delayed. He went down super slow. And Mike Dean, who I thought, to be honest, refereed the game horribly today. I mean, Mike Dean, look, I don't know why people don't make more about him. I know people do on social media, and I know people like his funny faces and his reactions and stuff like that. But can we actually talk about Mike Dean and the fact that he's a terrible referee? Because he makes the game about him every single match. As soon as you say Mike Dean is refereed today, every single football fan goes, oh no. Because they know there will be a point in the game where he makes the game about him. It's about Mike Dean. I'm in charge. I'm the referee. I'm the centre of attention. He's got some weird God complex that he has to be the centre of attention, even though he's the referee. The best referees you don't notice. The best referees let the game go. If there's a foul or an infraction, they will blow up. That's it. But Mike Dean has to make the game about him. Every single game he's in, it's about 10, 15 minutes added on time that he gives, and it's a last-minute goal or a last-minute penalty because he loves drama and he loves being the centre of attention because that's what he does. Now, somehow, some way, he got the decision right today because it was never a foul in a million years. So it was a delayed reaction by Neves. He only went down once he realised he wasn't going to have the ball, his team wasn't going to have the ball. Greenwood gets the ball. I don't know if it was a shot or a cross. To be honest with you, the keeper for Wolves should do way better. Way better. If anything, the keeper for Wolves almost put it in the net. It was almost more of an own goal than a Greenwood goal. Again, I put in my notes, it was the only decision that Mike Dean gave us, to be honest with you. But it wasn't a foul. The Wolves players can complain. Neves can complain. The Wolves players at full time were going to Mike Dean. I think everyone should just go to Mike Dean to say, you're terrible. But the Neves took about 5 minutes to go down, and the keeper put it in, and it was never, ever, ever, ever a foul. If that's a foul, then we should stop playing football at that point. So that was it. We did win. We did win the game 1-0. We did play better somewhat second half. But like I said earlier on, that's just like saying, oh, well done. You didn't shit yourself today. It's not much of an achievement, to be honest with you. And if that's your standards of going, oh, well done, I didn't foul myself today, you'd be like, well, you've got low standards, surely. We need to play better. We need to play better. That's absolutely it. We'll check in what the live chat says. Fat Thor says, ref was poor, Ollie was poor, Fred will always be poor. A lot of poor people today. Kristen says, Mike Dean trying to be Collini, but can't even lace his boots. Absolutely. Liam says, surely running around a lot is not what you settle for as a Manchester United midfielder. I agree. It's probably the bare minimum. Joe Isaac says, Mike Dean and Souness are just the same, useless. Suki says, hope today's match doesn't stop Neves from joining us if we approach him. I don't think so. Look, it wasn't a Man United thing. I don't think he would be bitter against Manchester United. He'd be bitter against Mike Dean. Mike Dean was the one that was, it was the right decision, but Mike Dean's the one who's an idiot at the end of the day. That's just what he is. That's just what he is. He's constantly center of attention. That's all Mike Dean does. It's always got to be about him. Always got to be about him. Always has to be the center of attention. So, look, I think we can talk about Ollie now. I think is the right time. A lot of people have their opinion on Ollie. I know how I can make the live chat explode. Guys, what do you think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer today? How would you rate Ollie out of 10? If you had to rate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's performance as the coach today, how would you rate that out of 10? If it was me, I'm terrible with ratings. I'm absolutely terrible with ratings. If I had to rate Solskjaer out of 10 today, look, I think we have to be conscious that we did win the game. And if you want to say that you give him at least a 4 or a 5 because we won the game, I think I would probably give him maybe an extra point for being a bit proactive, which he doesn't usually do in terms of making substitutions earlier on. He made a substitution early on, took Dan James off, brought Cavani on. I would say maybe a 5. Maybe a 5 or a 6. I feel like 6 is maybe too high. But I would say maybe a 5. The reason why is because, again, guys, we can talk about tactics not being there, and they weren't there today. I would love to know what you think in terms of the game plan was. I don't know what the game plan was today, but we won. We won, and we got a clean sheet. And we broke the record in terms of amount of away games in the Premier League unbeaten. That does mean something. So if I had to give Ollie a rating today, I probably would go for a 5 or a 6. I think 6 is maybe too high. 5. I would say 5 because look, we won the game. But there is no doubt in my mind there has to be substantial improvement, absolute substantial improvement. Because let's face it, if we play like that against the bigger teams, unfortunately, we don't have the bigger teams in the league in this first run of games. But if we play like that against the bigger teams, we would get picked apart, absolutely picked apart. And I don't want to turn this into like talking about Manchester City or Chelsea or anything like that. But if this is our sort of typical away performance this season, if we played like that at Stamford Bridge, we'd be 3-0 down in like 20 minutes. We really would. And it would be the same. It would be the same when it comes to say like Man City. If we play like that, we would be 3-0 down in 20 minutes. Now, when it comes to team selection, again, I said before the game to KG, because I saw a lot of people saying on Twitter when they saw that lineup, is this a 4-3-3? Is he going to that 4-3-3 that's been reported that he wants to go to? And we both said no way, absolutely no way. And I don't know if he necessarily should have, because it's away from home, and I just don't think it's the right game to do that. But in terms of team selection, I mentioned it at the top of the stream. I thought the Dan James selection was baffling. I really thought the Dan James selection was baffling because, again, those reports are out there that he could be out the door in the next few days or so. So why would you pick him today? I don't understand that. Solid Caramel says with the super chat, appreciate that, says Donny van der Beek played well at Molineux last season. It's suffocating to see him being overlooked. Signing a new DM won't solve anything. Ollie won't pick him either. The Donny van der Beek thing, look. We were talking about this when it came to, I think me and Flex were talking about it when we were doing the Champions League draw. McTominay, of course, had surgery, groin surgery. He's going to be out for a while. And just the options in terms of the midfield options, if you want to play that too, the midfield options are limited. You've got Matic, you've got Fred, and they played Pogba today, but Pogba just did not have his best game in that position. You would think when it comes to that, like, okay, Ollie will probably have to pick Donny. A lot of people were saying, well, he's got to pick Donny at the weekend against Wolves because he doesn't have many other options. Is he going to play Matic again? Is he going to play Fred? Probably play Fred, but maybe he'll play Donny. And I was saying to everyone, look, I was talking to DJ on the WhatsApp earlier today. And I said, look, Donny ain't playing. He's not going to play. I would play him. I would pick him because we can't do much worse than that performance that we saw in the midfield today. He can't do much worse, right? I would pick him, but I knew for a fact, and this isn't like me going, I told you so. I think most Man United fans knew. Deep down, if they really thought about it, if they really truly thought about it today, most Man United fans knew Donny van de Beek ain't playing. Definitely ain't starting. Because if you look at last week, he brought on Scott McTominay, who needed surgery. Essentially, he brought on a guy with one leg to play over Donny van de Beek. So why on earth would he play today? And he didn't. And he didn't get brought on either. If you're Donny van de Beek at this point, I don't know if it's too late to request a transfer. I like him. I think a lot of people like him. I think his versatility is great. I think his technical ability is overlooked. I think that for some reason maybe Ollie's got in his head that he is just a 10, but that's so not true because he can be a 10, but I think he's probably better as an 8 or a 6, to be honest with you. I think that's probably his best roles, probably more as an 8 than a 10. But he's got that versatility. He's a very versatile player and he's a great technical player. You would think that suits the squad nature that we're going to need. But you knew for a fact coming into today's game, he's not playing. He's just not going to play. And the reason you knew that is because last week he picked a one-leg guy over him that needed surgery. So he wasn't going to pick him from the start and it wasn't going to happen. I thought he was going to go with Matic and Fred and he was going to start Pogba out left. He didn't. He went with Pogba and Fred. And I mean, if you're Donny as well, you must be watching, say, that midfield performance from a Fred. You must be watching it sitting on the bench being like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? You pick a guy who needed surgery and you pick a guy that can't even pass the ball. He couldn't even pass the ball to his teammates. I'd be on the bench putting my hand up going, I can do that. I could do that. You've seen me in training. I could pass the ball. I could pass the ball to my friend or my teammates. And at this point, it's becoming a real systemic issue for Donny van de Beek because at this point, he's not being picked for his country. Louis van Gaal's the coach of the Netherlands now. He didn't pick him in that recent squad. And he said, when he was asked, why didn't you pick Donny van de Beek? And he said, because he's not playing. He said, I picked up the phone, I spoke to Donny van de Beek, and I said, look, if you don't play games, you're not going to get picked for us. And I know some people said, oh, it's Louis van Gaal. He's got an anti-Manchester United agenda. Maybe he doesn't have an axe to grind at Manchester United. But in reality, can you blame him? As a coach of a country, you would look at him going, well, you're not playing games. You're not playing games. Have a bit of self-respect. Knock on the manager's door, not your agent. Don't get your agent to come out in the press. Maybe that's Donny's problem. Maybe he's too nice. But knock on the manager's door and say, look, either I start playing or I start looking elsewhere. I know there's only a couple of days left and maybe I can't do it now, but I'll make some noises. Or when it comes to January, I'll get my agent to find a club because that's what I've got to do because I'm not playing games. I'm not playing football. And when I'm not playing football here, I'm not going to be playing football for my country. And there's a World Cup next year. And guess what? I want to play in that. I was fortunate to be named in the Euro squad, but I won't be next year. So I've got to do something because you obviously don't rate me. You obviously don't rate me because, again, you picked the guy that needed surgery. And we don't have hardly any midfielders now. And you're still not picking me. Now, Ollie can come out in the press conference and say, Donny's got a part to play. We've got many games this season. Cup matches, Carabao Cup matches, FA Cup matches, all that kind of stuff. That's great. That's great. But the evidence is always there in terms of the team that you pick. And he doesn't pick Donny van de Beek. That's all the evidence you need. That's all the evidence you need. VK says, LVG 100% right. What else are we saying here? Fat Thor says, Ollie has hit his ceiling. We need to get an elite level in now. I know Nothing Man says those tattoos don't go with that haircut. I need a haircut. That's the problem. I need a haircut. But I appreciate the love for the tattoos. Ray Diaz says Van der Beek must be really bad in training. Liam S says, Ollie, Donny, will you continually give away possession if I put you in the middle? Donny, no way, boss. Ollie, in that case, Fred, you're starting today. Look, I think that's Donny van der Beek at this point. Like I said, it's just I don't want to say his career's over at Manchester United because who knows? But let's face it, Ollie doesn't rate him. And that's not difficult to point out anymore, that Ollie doesn't rate him. Those are facts. And I don't think anything's going to change that. Even people like Scott McTominay going out with injury, nothing's going to change that at all. And what I would want to see next time we play, because it's international break next. God, I tell you what, as well, I know it's probably not right for me to say, but when these international breaks come into a season, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Because you just got like your club football back, and you're so excited. Then suddenly it's international break again. You go, oh, come on, oh, come on. But look, by the time we come back from the international break, we're gonna have Cristiano Ronaldo on our side. Thing is, as well, not that it's dampened the excitement of bringing Ronaldo back, because it hasn't. Today's result, look, we won. The performance wasn't great, but we won. But does Ronaldo coming into that side change the way we play, or does Ronaldo coming in give us some tempo, or just give us some momentum? That was the frustrating thing for me today as well. There was no momentum. There was no tempo. It was so slow at times, so slow at times. And you wonder what like Varane or Sancho thinks. They're like, oh my goodness, what am I stepping into? I thought this was going to get better. Christian says, haven't we got a friendly during the international break? I think so. Ollie said there was going to be a game behind closed doors for the people that are staying. But look, guys, we'll wrap it up here, because I can only do 45 minutes of ranting. I'm trying to stay positive. Look, the positives of today are we won. We broke the record of of being undefeated away in the league. That's something to celebrate. That is something to celebrate. We didn't play well, but we won. Points are on the board, and we got that away record. And that's what Ollie will talk about, and ultimately that's what history will remember today. History won't remember that Fred was awful. History will remember that we won, we got points on the board, and we broke a record, because we're in the record books now. We're in the history books. Every time you look at who holds the record for the longest run of games undefeated away from home in the Premier League, you'll go, that's Manchester United. That was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. They did it by beating Wolves 1-0 away from home on Sunday, 29th of August at Molineux. They'll always remember that. And the 3 points are all that matters today. Now, if we're playing like this in 6 weeks' time and we're losing games, that's something then we do really need to address and talk about. But until then, we'll take the victory today. We weren't good enough. We didn't deserve it. If I would be a Wolves fan, I would feel very sorry for myself. But guess what? I'm not a Wolves fan. I'm a Manchester United fan, and I'll take the victory today. But look, guys, that'll be all from me today. Be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe. There's going to be fan views coming today as well. Flex was at the game in Birmingham. He was at Molineux. He'll be outside the ground. He'll probably be recording fan views as we talk right now. So if you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and like the video, obviously that really does help us out. But when it comes to subscribing, you'll see the fan views as they come up today. And if you follow United View on Twitter, I think during the game, we got to 10,000 followers on Twitter as well. So if you do follow us on Twitter, thank you very, very much. That's amazing. It's an amazing milestone, considering we've only been going for not even, a couple of months, if that. So it's incredible. The support we have on the channel already is absolutely unbelievable. I really, truly appreciate it. So yes, be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe. Fan views will be coming out later today. I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Peace.